podcast. I'm Marcia, also known as Fairy Little, and this is my knitting podcast. I am here today from the gloomy Okanagan in British Columbia, Canada, and I'm here to talk about knitting. Welcome to anybody who is a new viewer, and welcome back to anybody who has subscribed and long-time viewers, and those of you still in the wings who haven't hit that subscribe button, it's just down below. Welcome back. I wanted to talk about, in the beginning of my episode, you will see there's a whole bunch of high top slippers. I used to design and make those to sell, and that is where the name Fairy Little came from, is because I made Fairy Little slippers and play on the word very, and I say fairy little, and I used to make a lot of little baby things, and that's where that came from. But in the introduction coming into my episode, you will have seen those little high top slippers, and I used to design and make those and sell them. And I have had an overwhelming response recently about those slippers, and I have never written up the pattern in such a way that other people could crochet it. They're crocheted slippers. I've never written up the pattern in a way that other people could follow it. But because of the overwhelming interest in those, I'm going to be writing it up and then putting it on Ravelry as well. So that's really exciting for me. But I don't know the time frame because of the gauge that I need to use for the slippers. It's a very tight gauge, and crocheting is really, really hard on my wrists. So I can't give you a time frame on how long that will take to get out there. But I do have a bunch that are in the put together stage, so I can just like a photo tutorial in the pattern as well with the pieces that I already have probably. I'm still chewing on it. So, but yeah, so thank you so much for the interest, and I will be doing something. Okay, so a little bit of administration. I have a couple Knitalongs going on, and I'm not going to go into them in too much detail. All the information is in the Ravelry group, which is linked below the episode. One is a stash to gifts knit-along that I'm doing. It's a year-long knit-along, and the other one is knitting a sweater for Knit City knit-along, and so that will end at Knit City, which is in the beginning of October. And so the information about those Knitalongs are over in the Ravelry group, so you can click the link below and it will take you over there if you're interested in either one of those Knitalongs. Just hosting a thread for the Stash to Gifts knit-along, just a chatter thread, and the prize thread is actually over in the Ravelry group for the Relentless Knitting podcast, audio podcast, and they are hosting the prize thread. So all of that information is in the Ravelry group. So we've had spring break, so I had the girls home and we did lots of swimming lessons and that sort of thing. And I have been doing a lot of home renovation stuff. So I don't have a ton of knitting. I know it's a knitting podcast, but I'll show you what I do have. I do have some finished objects. Well, yeah, I have a couple of finished objects, and I have a new project that I have started. So I'll start off with the finished objects, and I have two because they're actually finished now. They've been blocked and everything. And this is my new accordion cowl design that is coming out. It will April 15th. It will be coming out, and it's done in 2/8. It's called the accordion cowl because of polka dots. And it is it's color work. It's stranded color work. So there's the inside. You can see my floats. This is worsted weight, and it was done with Malabrigo and is so soft and squishy and this one was very quick. And then I also have a fingering weight one, and this is yarn that I dyed the gray, so unfortunately you can't get a hold of that one. But this one here is Ancient Arts yarn, and it's their sparkly fingering. And I'll put the colorway below. It is So pretty and so soft and so squishy. And yeah, it's a little bit warm down here right now, so I'm not going to put it on, but it is very, very nice. So those will be coming out later this month. Everything's ready. They've been testing it, the tech edited. I just had to finish my samples and block them. So you will see them in Ravelry on the 15th. And they will probably, this pattern I will probably put on for $1.50 Canadian or something. Like it's not going to be, it's not going to be expensive for this pattern. So yeah, so $1.50, and you get essentially two patterns. One is for worsted and one is for fingering. So that's coming out. And recently I had my new Skyline shawl release, and that's it back there. And it's thank you very much for all of your amazing support. There is a coupon code right now, and the coupon code is Skyline1, and it will get you $1 off of the pattern until the 1st of May is when that coupon code is good till. And all of my shawls are listed at $4 right now, so that makes that one $3 for that pattern. The yarn that this one is knit in is the Knit Picks Swish Worsted, and I got the Bear yarn. There you go. And it's 100% superwash merino wool, and I got it in Bear, and so I dyed it in those colors. So yeah, it turned out really nice. It's a big squishy worsted weight shawl, so it knits up fairly quickly. It takes 3 skeins. It's about 660 yards, and I had a cotton one that I knit, and it was gorgeous. I knit it in Evie Sublime yarn, and that one is actually down at our local yarn store for a window display. She's going to be displaying a bunch of different patterns, designs of mine, and different kind of ideas for yarn that will be available. And that shawl that's behind it. Oh, this is difficult. That one behind me here, that one is the Homestead shawl that was released a couple months ago. So yeah, so some shawls for your knitting pleasure. Okay, so I have gotten quite a bit done on my Snoqualmie cardigan, and I will show you. So this is the Snoqualmie, and it's by Michelle Wang. I think I said it wrong on the last episode. And it is this big, oversized, cabled cardigan that is just lovely, lovely squishiness. And I am knitting it in Quarry, American Targhee, Columbia wool, Brooklyn tweed. So Brooklyn tweed, and it is, I've never knit with this yarn before, and it is so squishy and so nice. Like, it doesn't feel rusticy, and because of the plumpness of the yarn and how round the yarn is, it just pops the cables amazing. And this is in the gypsum colorway. Sorry, I didn't say that before. And it is, I love it. It's actually a 3-ply, but how it's plied makes it look like it's a woolen spun, but it's loosely plied, but it gives it the extra strength. And so it's just a really, really beautiful yarn to knit with. And I'll show you, this is my swatch that I did. My second swatch, my first swatch. So I had to go down a full needle size because I knit continental. I knit looser than people who throw. Generally speaking, some people throw and they're looser, but I'm a fairly loose knitter, so my gauge is definitely looser than the average thrower. So when I cast this on with the needles that it called for, it was actually about that much bigger. It was quite a bit bigger than it was supposed to be. And it didn't give as much definition to the stitches, and I needed to get gauge. I'm 1 stitch and 1 row out of gauge, but because it has so much ease, it's 4 inches of positive ease. The person that I'm knitting this for, I checked with her and she said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So even my swatch, it's just gorgeous. But I'll show you how much I've gotten done. I am almost to where I start decreasing for the sleeves. So it's knit flat and then pieced together. So this is how much I've gotten done. And the pattern is really intuitive. The yarn is bulky, so it knits fairly quickly, and I'm really impressed with that. And it's very intuitive. So when you get into it, it's not, there's no do this and. I know when I get to the decreasing, then there will be the do this part and decrease on the edges. But it's such a nice knit. It's very meditative, and I get just into the groove of it. And it's one of those knits that it clears your mind, because you have to be in it enough, paying attention enough that you know where you are in the pattern, and you're counting, but it just kind of makes everything else that's going on around you and just wash away. It's one of those fantastic knits that you can just really sink your teeth into and just really, just really get into, and really it's a very, very enjoyable knit. And this is something that I am definitely going to be knitting for myself after. I don't know how soon after. I have another cabled cardigan that I need to get off the needles, but this is getting done first. This is my first priority. So fairly monogamous on this. I'm working on a couple other things in the background that I'm not ready to show yet, but as far as knitting as much as I can, this is getting the most love. I'm just really, really enjoying this. And there's some new techniques. So I learned how to do a tubular cast on with this, and so that was interesting to learn that technique. I've never done a tubular cast on before. I've done like a picot cast on, I think it is, but no, I've never done a tubular cast on, and it was actually pretty easy. It was just wrapping my head around what I needed to do and what it was supposed to look like when it was finished. But it gives it a little bit more structure. And so the thing is, with a knit like this, like, you could always look at the pattern and work out the math to just do it in one piece, the sides and the back. But the thing with doing a piece like this in pieces and then putting it together is it gives it that extra structure in the stitches. So it actually holds it in place better. It will fit you better, and it won't sag as much. And with doing cables, it just adds weight. You need probably twice as much yardage as you would normally use. So that's one thing to consider, is that it also adds weight. This actually feels really light. Doing it in pieces definitely adds to the structure, and it will give it a nicer fit. And then the seaming along here gives it structure as well. What you might notice in some cardigans that are all knit in one piece is that they can tend to droop a bit on your shoulders, and that is because the yarn is stretching from the weight. And it's the best easiest way for me to describe it. So if you're having a problem with droopy shoulders, you can either crochet in on the underside, crochet a line up along your shoulders, and that will help it ride up higher and stay more structured, or you can do along the back of your neck line with just crochet a line. And that's also why some sweaters will do the collar, you'll pick up stitches and do the collar after, is because the cast on gives it that structure to keep it where it's supposed to be. So that is that, and it is an amazing knit. I definitely recommend it. All my big sideline for that. And yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this. It's such a nice knit, and it's a great thing to sit down and just relax and listen to things. So that is all that I'm working on that I can show you right now. It has been an amazing couple of weeks. I have been reading more design books and sizing, and so even though there hasn't been as much knitting going on or as much difference as I can show you, because the last time I was working on this, I was about here, I think, and so I knit that much, but it's only one project because I've been fairly monogamous. But I have been reading designing books and reading about sizing, and I've taken quite a few classes on design, but I have a new design that I'm working on, and I'm working out the math for it right now because I want it to be multiple sizes. And actually Nick, my husband, has been asking me for over a year to do this, and just because okay, I'm going to tell you guys what it is. Okay. So it's a man's sweater. And because there's just not enough men's sweaters out there, and I've looked for sweaters for him, and so far I've knit all of the ones that I found that I really liked and for him. And so I'm working on a design, and I've just kind of the whole way I'm checking in with him to see if it's something that he would like or wear. And he really likes what I've come up with. So that's coming, but I want to make sure that the sizing is as broad as I can possibly make it, because small, medium, and large doesn't work for everybody. So I'm trying to work out the math to get it as broad as I can. I also wanted to talk about a yarn that I have been knitting with for one of my new designs that it's not ready to show you yet, but it will be soon. And that is Casbah. It's by Handmaiden, Casbah, and it is merino cashmere nylon yarn, and it is so beautiful. I love it so much. It's such a soft and squishy yarn, and I just wanted to tell you guys, if you get the opportunity to knit with this yarn right now, this is my absolute favorite yarn to knit with. I am just loving this yarn, and I'm not knitting with this colorway, but at the moment, but it is such a soft, squishy yarn, and if you want to be enabled, then definitely go get some Handmaiden Casbah, because this yarn is so squishy, and this natural color is it's just so nice. Yeah, it's just natural. So pretty. So yes, I definitely am recommending this yarn. I was thinking about it as I was knitting with it, and I don't always tell you guys how much I love certain yarns, because I think it's so subjective. Some people like a certain feel, some people like a certain, it's all color based, and everybody likes their own things specifically, but I just thought that I would share with you guys today that this yarn is so beautiful. It's so nice to knit with. It's for shawls, for using larger needles. It's so squishy. It's nice near your skin, any part of your skin. It's just so squishy, and there's such beautiful colors. I can get this locally. It's hand dyed in Canada, and it has 355 yards or 325 meters. And it says machine washable. I wouldn't machine wash it, but it says you can. And we get it locally, and I don't know if you have to get it through a store or if they have a website. There's no website information on here, but it is so nice to knit with, and it just shows lace work so beautifully. And so if you're interested, it's very nice yarn. So I've stuck with my yarn diet. So I have a bunch of New Year's resolutions, and one was to be more organized, and I definitely have been more organized, but I ran out of pages in my notebook that I keep my list of everything I need to do. And so I got a new book, and now I'm back to being as organized as I once was. And that helps for me. I definitely am one of those people that I need it written down and I need to check it off. And I get much more accomplished doing it that way than just trying to remember everything I have to do in a day, because my days are just, all of a sudden they're gone. But if I write everything down, it's just much, much easier, much cleaner, and I get twice as much stuff done. But as a part of one of my New Year's resolutions, it was yarn diet. So I am on a yarn diet, but I did purchase some yarn for my sweater design that I'm working on. And I picked this up at our local yarn store, and it is the Barocco Vintage. And it is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. The reason I chose this wool, let's check out that color. The reason I chose this in particular is because Nick works out in the field. He's a horticulturalist, and he works in the trees, and he often wears his hand knits out to work, as you do. And I wanted something that he could wear out in the field, that it doesn't matter if he got something on it or it just needed a really good washing. I could throw it in the washing machine and it's not going to be an issue. When he works in the field right now, it's tick season. So ticks can get in your clothes and that sort of thing. So it just makes it really great to have something that I can wash in the machine for him and not worry about anything still being in there scurrying around kind of thing. So, but this color it's color 5106, and it's just this beautiful gray. It's kind of heathered. It's like a heathered gray, and the pattern that I'm doing, which you guys will see probably in a month or so, I will probably show it, but the pattern I'm doing, this yarn shows the pattern beautifully. It looks great, and I'm very, very, very happy with this choice for durability, for washability, and for color selection and how well it's showing off the pattern. Of course, it would look also amazing in a myriad of other wools that are 100% wool and hard wearing wool as well, something that you can hand wash and lay flat to dry. But I needed something that was going to be able to be thrown in the washing machine for him. So that is why the choice of this one. And it's very economical. This yarn was, I think, $10 Canadian a skein. It was really, really affordable. And I just considered that because it's for design, it's actually work related. So it's it's not for fun knitting, even though knitting's fun. I don't know. Any excuse, right? So yeah, so that's coming, and that is very nice. And I just keep throwing it around. So that is it for the knitting content. It's not a lot today. It's only 27 minutes in, and I've done all the knitting. Just came for the knitting. Thank you so much for joining me, and now I'm going to just go into general chatter kind of stuff. So We are working on the house. I have been doing edging pieces. That's what I've been working on lately. I have been taking small pieces of wood and cutting them down at angles and installing them along the edges of the stairs, and then and they're getting glued in, and I'm caulking them, and then I'll be painting them after. And in front of the fireplace, I'm just doing all the little nitpicky finishing stuff that doesn't that kind of just got left after the renovation. I did a door casing yesterday in our kitchen. It was one that had not been finished yet, so I did that. I'm going to be putting some side pieces on one of our cabinets that just got left because it's kind of a 2-person job, but I went and picked everything up today that I need to do. I'm going to be repainting our vanity in the bathroom, refinishing that. I got some new hardware for the cabinets because the hardware I had is getting very, very worn. And as well, I'm going to be refinishing our deck, which is really exciting. It's needed it for probably a year or two. We should have probably done it last year, but I have all of the stuff to do that, and I have whatever else I need is on order, so that will be coming in. And just getting the garden ready. Nick has some apples that are just outside our front door, a little bin of apples. And the deer have been coming up onto our front steps to eat these apples. So there's some chewed up apples on our front step right now that I need to deal with. It's super funny. The deer love it. And we're just getting ready. So we've got some things planted and they're growing in the house right now, as well as we have 2 new little family members, and I will show you either a picture or a video of them. And one's name is Snowfluff and the other one's name is Sunshine. And they are the cutest little chickens. There's 2 of them and they are adorable. We have 3 full-grown chickens and now we have 2 babies. They are laying hens, and we're part of the backyard chicken project in our community. So we have 3 laying hens, and these 2 will also be laying hens when they get older, but they can't go in with the other chickens until they are bigger because they will get pecked like crazy and probably killed. So they are in the house right now. We have a heat lamp on them and they are just adorable. They fit into your hand. They are so, so cute. And the chickens outside, actually, I think it was the last episode or the episode before, I showed a picture of the chickens. And we had a couple raccoons in our backyard a few weeks ago. And it was around 5 in the morning. And it was probably a month ago now that they were in the backyard. And my dog started going crazy. He's barking like crazy, and he's not a barky dog, so I knew something was up. And then I got up to see what he was barking about, and he started crying at the door. And then I just listened for a second, and I could hear one of the chickens going crazy in the backyard. So I knew what was up. I knew there was raccoons in the backyard. So I opened the door and I grabbed my shoes, my coat, my flashlight, and go outside, and my dog chased away the raccoons. I could hear them climbing the fence. And the chickens are fully enclosed. But there's chicken wire, and they have a house. But the raccoons had scared them out of the main wood house area into the to the chicken wire area, and there was enough of them. I saw 3, but I don't know how many more of them there were. There was enough of them that they scared the chickens close to the fence in one corner, and 2 of them ended up getting their crowns that they have up here bitten, and so there was a whole bunch of feathers everywhere, and there was some blood and stuff, poor little things. And one of the chickens, the biggest one, she was sitting on the food dish and she's just yelling at the top of her lungs. And then my dog went over to the fence, and there's a shed behind the fence and a tree beside the shed that belongs to our neighbor. And my dog went over and he started barking there. So I knew where the raccoons had gone. And I went over and I stood beside him, and I looked up the tree, and he just sat, and he stopped barking. He just sat. He's like, there they are. I'm watching them. I'm with you. We got this. And so it took, Shelly and I stayed outside until it was about 7:30 in the morning. And we just kept watch over the chickens to make sure that they were okay. It took them quite a while to calm down, and it took a while for the raccoons to come out of the tree and to leave. And it wasn't until they all came out of the tree and left that the chickens finally relaxed and mellowed out. So but as soon as the chickens saw the dog, they calmed right down, because we let them run loose in the backyard with the dog, and he just protects them. He just keeps an eye on them and makes sure that they're okay, and he'll come and get us if there's a problem with one of them, or or if there's anything around. He's just a super good dog. So so our poor little ladies, but they've healed up. The two that got bitten, they've healed up. One of them had a bunch of her tail feathers pulled out, and I was actually going to talk about this on the episode where I showed the video, but I totally completely forgot. I just went blank. And those poor chickens, but they're doing great. It hasn't interrupted their laying, and that's one way you can tell if chickens are stressed, is if they stop laying or their eggs start coming out funny, and that just didn't happen. So they definitely feel protected, but we're making sure that every night when they go into their roost, we actually block the door, so they're encased in this wooden area so they can't get out. So even if any sort of raccoons got into the yard again, they wouldn't be able to get out of their safe space. And I added an extra lock on the back so that the door doesn't jiggle at all. So even if a raccoon went there and tried to jiggle the door to scare them out of there, it would be to no avail. The chickens are super safe, and that's one of the things that happened during that time when it was a long time between episodes. Is that was one of the things that happened on the day that I was supposed to record. So I was fully exhausted, and I spent the whole day trying to secure the chickens and making sure that they were going to be safe. So yeah, so there's my chicken story. And as far as everything else goes, everything's going really, really well. I've been going to be painting some more things, and I still haven't recovered my couch, which is something that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to record doing that, but I don't know what my time frame is right now, because right now I'm just kind of doing the construction stuff. Cutting all the wood pieces and installing, and I pulled out my compressor, and it's it's a big compressor, and then I have a nail gun. Excuse me. A nail gun that I use to install things. So I got some extra pieces today as well, because I think I want to make a couple pieces of outdoor furniture for our deck, which I'm kind of excited about, but I want to do it while Nick isn't here, because I want it to be a surprise. So I just have to work around that somehow. So I really love doing stuff like that, but I don't like doing it when other people are around, if that makes sense. I like to do it by myself and then just get into it, and because I like to just get it done, but also when other people are around, they tend to say, why are you doing it like this? Why don't you do it like this? How about this? And it's not necessarily wrong, or it's just a suggestion, but it just goes a lot quicker if you don't have that happening in the background, I guess. So the knitting is going along swimmingly. You can check out my Ravelry store. The link is below. As far as my bags are concerned, with my Etsy shop, I have nothing going in the shop right now. I'm just going to prioritize the things that I'm doing right now. Those are going to be my main focus, and just till I get things done, because my list could just go on, and I feel already like there's not enough time in the day. So I'm just going to put that on the back burner until everything else is kind of getting sorted. We are we may list our house, we might not. We're kind of on the fence, but we want to prepare it just in case we choose to. But if not, we'll have a finished home because we started renovations a few years ago, and then we got to the point where we could live with everything, and then as life happens, it just kind of got set aside. So I've been watching a TV series recently. It's called When Calls the Heart. And I just finished season 2 and it left on a cliffhanger. It's on Netflix. And it's a Canadian movie or series. And it's filmed in Canada. And it took me a little bit to get into, but it's one of those shows that it's very wholesome. Very wholesome. So it doesn't matter if my girls come into the room when I'm watching it. It's just, there's nothing that they can't watch on it, essentially. And it's not gratuitous in any way. And right now I need some television that is actually unplugging and isn't stressful. I like just my downtime to be downtime, I guess. And everybody likes their own thing. I used to really love thrillers, like suspense thrillers. I love them. I watched them all the time until I had kids. And after having kids, I can't. It's so, I will stew on something that I watch for days and days and days. And so I just don't watch those shows anymore because I can't handle them. So just for my own self, I don't. Yeah, so I think that is it. It has been a great 2 weeks. I'm hopefully going to be putting some more things on the YouTube channel. If you would like to keep updated on everything that is coming up, then just subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. It has been great seeing you again. Until next time. I want to just talk about quickly, play on the word very, like, and can just do like I will be coming out probably February, it's April. There we go. I'm having troubles with that today. Really well. Knitting within one of my knitting. But so this, if you